wondering, everybody says education. And
yeah,
they
well,
say,
when it comes down to brass tacks.
To pay for it, well, I don't really
right.
want to pay for it. What is the breakdown between property taxes and then credits from the state? How does, for example, your Lindbergh budget, is that property tax dollars? How does the money come in?
Well, Lindbergh is a hold harmless district, so let's get what that really means. That's an odd phrase, but it really means the state foundation formula has kicked you off of it because they think you have enough local money to run your school. So in my school district, 93 cents out of every dollar is local. We're actually practically a private school district and funding that way. The state money is pennies to us, and the federal money is non-existent practically. So we're really living off of property taxes in the Lindbergh School District, and all hold harmless districts like Lindbergh do that. So when the foundation formula has a cold and is not being funded correctly, that's not good. That's very bad for a lot of schools. But for that subset of hold harmless, since we're not on the foundation formula, it really doesn't affect us very much. What does affect us is the local politics of giving schools tax dollars away. And so in my district, we have the Crestwood Mall, which is a very, very large, a vacant mall, as most people know. And so a developer from Chicago, Urban Street, comes in and buys it for pennies. They bought this mall for a little under $3 million. It sold in the early 2000s for almost $100 million. So they're getting a heck of a deal there. But it's vacant, so that's that part of it. They want to tear it down, but here comes the point. For the first time, they say, I don't want to fill this full of stores and retail and cash registers and jobs. I want to put apartments in there. And a big part of it. I'm going to put $30 million worth of apartments, 225 apartments. And I don't want the school to get any taxes out of those apartments. Then that sets up the equation, but we are 93 cents out of every dollar funding children locally. The state's not paying for Lindbergh students to get an education. The federal government's not. But now this developer says, and I'm not either. So we could end up with school bus loads of children out of those apartments with no money to fund them. So that's a part of funding, too, is how schools become a piggy bank, and that's the right word, for cities to say, well, developer, come in here. I'll give you the school taxes to help you build what you want. So that's a concern also.
You're talking about TIF money.
Yeah.
TIF. And is there a way with the politicians locally there, Sunset Hills and others, where they can Crestwood, can they stop that from happening? Where does that sit right now?
Well, you get into, and Crestwood Mall, of course, is in Crestwood. Lindbergh also is Sunset Hills. They want them all torn down, legitimately so. They want something new and glitzy and something that makes a community proud. Not a vacant mall doesn't make a community proud. So they have that kind of motivation. What their motivation is, what do we have to give some developer to get that torn down? And so the city of Crestwood doesn't have anything to give. But
didn't you recently have public forums about this, adding so many, I guess, school children to the classroom without having the extra funding to teach them? What was the consensus on those public meetings? I know there was a lot of outcry about it.
Yes, there were 700 people went to the developers' meeting. And many of them, maybe the majority, were Crestwood parents and people associated with Lindbergh schools, and they were very concerned and made that probably the number one statement to the developer, that we're happy that you want to tear the mall down, but you should not put apartments in there, and you should not take the school's money for 23 years. You got to remember, this isn't like a one-time thing. For 23 years, school buses pull into that apartments and walk away with no money to educate those kids. So that was the number one thing. There was to give you a visual, that the developer had a big old picture of the mall site, and he had Post-it notes and say, place on this mall site what you want to see, or comments. It was full of no tax abatements for apartments. That was the number one Post-it note. We took pictures of that board as a message. So, but other people at that meeting also want to say, I want a Trader Joe's. You know, everybody's got a favorite retail. And so there was some of that too. So that was basically it.